Hi and welcome to the ThruNite channel. So today we're talking about best value headlamps. So we have 4 headlamps here. These are ones I'm very familiar with that I've been using on and off. To the left here we have the ThruNite Thrower. To the right of that we have the Olight Perun 2. Over here we have the Olight Perun Mini, and all the way to the right we have the Nitecore HC35. So all 4 of these headlamps do offer different things, different sizes, different outputs, different features. We're going to go ahead and go over each light and talk about maybe some of the pros and cons. And then I'm going to get outside and give you a visual on how these look at night with some beam shots. And then we'll come back in and we'll talk about them a little bit compared to each other. So I'm going to go over some quick specs here first before we get into each individual light and how it functions. On the left here, the ThruNite Thrower currently sells for $29.99. Its high output is 1,755 lumens. This sports an SFT40 LED, and it's running on a single 18650 battery. Next up here, the Olight Perun 2. These currently sell for $89.95. This has a high output of 2,500 lumens, and this is running on a 21700 lithium-ion battery. Next up here is the Olight Perun Mini. These currently sell for $64.95. This has a high output of 1,000 lumens, and the internal battery is a 16340. And last up here is the Nitecore HC35. These currently sell for $99.95. This has a high output of 2,700 lumens. It has 4 LEDs in the head here. These are all Cree XP G3 S3 LEDs. All right, this takes a 21700 battery, but also has the capability of taking a single 18650 or a CR123 or a rechargeable CR123. All right, so a couple different battery sources for this one. All right, so starting with the ThruNite Thrower, you can see that we have an angled light. This is removable, so obviously the entire system here is to be used as a headlamp, but you can take it out of these rubber straps here if you want to use it, separately from the headband. All right, we have a very large switch right on top. You can see we have a power indicator, all right, so that'll let you know if you need to charge your battery. All right, on the bottom here we have the tail cap, which we can unscrew and access our battery. Again, in this case, it is a ThruNite branded 18650. And to charge this light, the charging port is on the back of the head here. All right, so we open up that little cover. You can see the charging port here, which is a USB Type-C. So we have the fast charging capability on this light, which is very nice. All right, to use this light is very simple. You're going to push the button on the side to turn it on. If you push and hold, it'll cycle through our modes here, which is low, medium, and high. You can let go at any of those modes to keep it on constant. All right, if you double tap from any position, whether it's on or off, it'll go to turbo. That's our highest output, again, 1755 lumens. Now to access the moonlight mode, from the off position, you do a long hold. All right, and that's going to be our lowest output for our longest runtime. And there is an SOS mode in here. To access that, what you want to do is triple click. You can see we have the quick 3 and then a slow 3. That is the universal sign for help, or SOS. All right, so next up here is the Olight Perun 2. This one has a recharging section on the bottom here, which is magnetic. This also is removable from the actual headband itself, so you want to use this independently, you can certainly do so, and the bottom would be magnetic because of that. Looking at the top, you can see our button here to turn it on and off. And real quick, before I get into the different modes, I want to show you the head here. If you notice the reflector as well as the LED. But something else I want to point out is this little sensor on top there is a proximity sensor. All right, so when this is on high, if this gets close to an object, it will sense that and it'll cut the power back a little bit so that you don't have too much of that light refracting back into your own eyes. All right, just kind of an interesting feature for this light. Now, as far as the battery, I'm going to unscrew the head here. All right, so we can take a look at that real quick. Pop that out. Again, this is going to be an Olight branded 21700 battery. All right, so to use this light, we're just going to be pushing the button that's on the top here. Once to turn it on, push and hold. It's going to cycle through our modes. Again, low, medium, and high. Double click for turbo mode. All right, kind of fades up to turbo mode. And again, this is 2,500 lumens, very bright. All right, and then if we have a triple click from off, we could see we also have an SOS mode, just like our ThruNite Thrower. All right, and from the off position, long press is going to bring you into your moonlight mode. And last thing I want to demonstrate is that proximity sensor. So double click for turbo. All right, as I get closer to the light, you can see that it cuts power. goes up a little bit. Now that I'm close, hopefully you can see that change. It just cuts power a little bit there. All right. So just again, kind of an interesting feature, something some people like, some people don't like it. It really just comes down to personal preference. But that is the Olight Perun 2. All right, so next up here is the Olight Perun Mini. You can see this is the smallest light in today's comparison. Now this one has a pocket clip on it, so you can use this, in the pocket. It's a bi-directional clip, but they have a system here that has actually a patch that goes onto a head strap, and that has a plastic piece here that allows you to just clip it right there. So you have, the availability of using it as a headlamp. Just like the other Olight, we do have a magnetic bottom here. Okay, that is for charging. All right, button on top. Coming in close on our head of the light, we can see we have an interesting lens that is both concave and heavily diffused here. All right, and that is to, break up that light so you have more spread. We'll see that a little bit later when we do the beam shots outside. So to save a little time here, I'm not going to demonstrate how to use this light just because it's the same as the Perun 2. However, there's one thing I do want to point out here, and something I've always noticed every time I use this light, is because this is a patch that's the mount system for the light itself, and it goes on this thinner headband. Every time I put this on, there's always the rough side of the Velcro that rubs on my forehead, which I'm not a fan of at all. So I really like the light overall. It's very cool that it's, totally removable, but this particular system to try to make it into a headlamp, to me, is just uncomfortable. But we'll talk about that a little bit later at the end of the video when I kind of compare everything to each other. And lastly, I just want to show you this battery source here. All right, so remove it from the headlamp mount. Gonna unscrew the body from the head, and we can see the little battery source. And again, this one is a 16340. And last up here is the Nitecore HC35. All right, this one has a clip as well, different design from the Olight there. But very simple. That just clips right to the actual head strap mount here. I'm gonna take that off just to show you this, make it a little bit easier. All right, same deal. We have an angled light with a button on the top here. All right, you see on the bottom we just have our tail cap, although it is magnetic. It says containing magnetic components. Unscrewing the tail cap, we'll take a look at the battery. The one that comes with it is the 21700. Like I mentioned before, you do have a couple different battery options with this one. All right. Now looking on the back of the head here, you can see where the charging port is. This is the older style charging port. All right. And a close-up on the head here, we could see those 4 LEDs. And again, we have a plastic lens that is heavily diffused. All right, so we'll see how that beam shot looks a little bit later when we get outside. So to use this light, we are hitting the button on top. All right, one click turns it on, and then you could cycle to the modes. So we have low, medium 1, medium 2, high, and turbo. All right, that is it. Really simple. All right, just cycles through. You leave it at whatever mode you want. It's a long press to shut it off. So if you want to go right to turbo, regardless of whatever the last mode you use is, you just want to do a long press from the off position. So when I turn this on, it's going to go to the last mode. But if I keep holding that with a long press, it's going to go right to the turbo mode. And there it is. All right. And then again, long press to shut that off. So there it is. That is the Nitecore HC35. All right, so let's head outside and get some beam shots on these lights. All right, so first up here is the ThruNite Thrower. Double click for turbo. All right, you can see that center hot spot is very, very bright. And of course, as we go up, you can see all the spill, and we do have a distinctive edge for the spill. Let me actually get that strap out of the way. All right, so up and down, left and right. And that is the ThruNite Thrower. Okay, next up here is the Olight Perun 2. On turbo there, let the camera focus a second. So you can see how different this is. We don't have a distinctive hotspot, we just have basically a large circle of light. All right, and again, move that strap out of the way, make sure nothing is blocking that beam. Go up and down, left and right. That's the Olight Perun 2. All right, next up here is the Olight Perun Mini. Double click to turbo mode. Same deal as the Perun 2, we just have basically a large circular pattern for our light. We don't have a distinctive hot spot in the middle. And again, that has a lot to do with the diffusers that are in the head. All right, so up and down, left and right. There you go. All right, and last up here is the Nitecore HC35. Turn that on. All right, to turbo mode. Same thing, because of the diffused lens, we have basically just a wall of light. We go up and down and left and right. And that is the Nitecore. All right, so now you guys saw what these are capable of. Let's talk about them a little bit more here. All four of these lights are good, high quality flashlights. I think they're all gonna work fine for you. They can all take a little bit of a beating. I've personally dropped all of these on purpose or accident in testing. Right off the bat, I have to point out that the Olight Perun 2 here, although it is a cool light by itself, I am not a fan of this Velcro system for the head strap. It is just super uncomfortable. It's something that I'm constantly reminded of every time I use it. It's really, really unfortunate, but that's just something that I really do not like at all. Other than that, I think the light is totally fine. When you're talking about prices and output and stuff, and that's what a lot of people compare these lights to, you know, how much light can I get for the cheapest price possible? Well, in this particular case, the ThruNite Thrower is the cheapest light on this table here. Now keep in mind, this is 1755 lumens for $30. This Perun 2 is 2500 lumens, which is very bright. It's brighter than the ThruNite Thrower. However, it's 3 times the price at $90. This Perun Mini is super cool, but it's $65. It's more than twice the price of the ThruNite Thrower. The Nitecore is fantastic as well. It is the brightest light that's in this comparison at 2700 lumens with those 4 LEDs. It's a substantial headlamp. It's also a little bit heavier. That's where maybe the Perun Mini comes into play. It's uncomfortable physically on my forehead with that Velcro scratching my skin. If I'm wearing a hat in the winter, it's not really a big deal because I'm not getting that bare contact. But I do notice that it's physically a lot lighter. So that could be a pro, obviously, for the smaller light. But even though this is the brightest light on the table, it is also the most expensive at $100. It is more than 3 times the price of the Thrower. So when you're talking about best value overall, I do think that the ThruNite Thrower is the best value. So all these lights do have their pros and cons. It just depends on what your personal needs are and what you're looking for in a flashlight. But that's it for this comparison. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And if you're new to the channel, ThruNite does free giveaways to their viewers. If you want to enter, all you have to do is comment on these videos and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.